Welcome to the Crew Mahoney podcast. I think this is my third episode. Super exciting stuff. Got Owen in the house actually behind me, filming a little bit. We're capturing it for the YouTube and the podcast. It's a little bit of content inception. It's Sunday. That's podcast day for me. It's also laundry day for me, which is absolutely miserable. I think a couple of YouTube videos ago, I was talking about the fact that even waking up in the morning can feel super dramatic. And it's okay to feel that way as long as you don't let the drama change your decision making. But I feel dramatic about laundry. I actually hate doing laundry because ever since I was little, I was always super OCD about everything. I love for my space to just be super clean and neat. So laundry day means, doing the overhaul, remaking my bed, which is a whole freaking sculpture project, and then folding all my clothes, making sure those are perfect. Trust me, I'm not a psychopath. I just like to keep things nice and clean. So, little story for you guys, completely unrelated, but this past week, went to the Dave Asprey Biohacking convention. This was an experience for sure. A couple of the brands that I partner with, they were there, so went and hung out with them, did a couple interviews. It was a cool thing, and there are a ton of really great companies there. Got to chat with a few, try a few things out. I did this little electrode exercise kind of thing. They put these things on my arms, and I did bicep curls. And I hate doing arms, by the way, but my arms are sore right now. Maybe because I don't hit arms, but the thing actually worked. But I didn't know how to feel about it because I go, well, I could also probably achieve the same thing by just lifting super heavy dumbbells. So I don't know, but that was definitely the case. Something I realized at this convention, there were, let's say, 300 companies there. I don't know. Let's say 295 of them were gimmicky bullshit. It's biohacking, right? It's all of these companies trying to help people be healthier and happier and more vital and, I don't know, live more fulfilling lives. Who knows? And almost all of the things that I saw, almost all of the products and inventions were there to make people think that they're doing something to be healthy, but it's really just avoiding all of the things that are fundamental to living a healthy life, like exercise, like eating right, like taking care of yourself in a very general sense. And that was kind of frustrating to me because you walk around and you're seeing people slamming money down, just buying all kinds of stuff. It was so funny for the YouTube video. Owen was panning this one product. God, it looked like a straitjacket or some shit. And I guess it's a compression device, and it said compress, sculpt, and all these little characteristics of what it does. It's just something to make someone think that this jacket that's squeezing their body or the pants part that's squeezing them is making them healthier or more fit. I don't know. And he pans across it and then puts the camera to me, and I said, anything but going to the gym. Because it's people just trying to avoid the simple things of just going to the gym and exercising. So, the characteristics that stood out to me is, hey, a bunch of cool things, a handful of real products, and then a bunch of stuff that's really just tricking people. Another thing that was really funny to me at these kind of conventions and events, there's a bunch of people in the media space, obviously, filming and asking people questions and interviewing, and they got the lights. I have never been so weirded out by media people. I guess I haven't really been around that very much. Obviously, I'm kind of a social media guy and got Owen filming and stuff, but we're actually real human beings, and whether the camera's up or not, it's semi the same thing. Maybe some more horrendous jokes when the camera's down, but you know what I mean. I saw the craziest stuff. The camera comes out and these people presenting their products and stuff going, this is going to change your life. And you just see this character come to life. And it is so strange. I don't understand how someone could act that way thinking that it's going to attract the realistic consumer. But maybe then again, that's not actually their goal. kind of that infomercial energy and facial expressions. It's just weird. And you see people filming on their phone and they just put on this whole act. I just really don't know how to even operate around people like that because it's very fake. I mean, my whole thing is that I try to be as real as possible. And obviously there are different versions of that, right? I mean, if it's 5 a.m. and I'm kind of overwhelmed by the weight of the morning, I might not be so funny and sarcastic and lighthearted, but at the same time, it's still me. And it's kind of there's, the weather people or whatever on TV or the newscasters, and then they think the camera's off and they just start cursing everybody out and they don't realize they're still on live TV. Those are always great, but it's kind of the vibe I get from people like that. And a space like that, a convention where it's all the quote unquote health focused people mixed with the social media and I guess media in general bunch, definitely brings out the weirdness in people. So something I really want to talk about is this idea of a shortcut. Because in this biohacking world, again, you have a couple people, a couple of companies that actually seek to help people. They want to help people improve. They want to emphasize what the person is capable of rather than dissolve their idea of the capability and say, oh, you need this product. So there's a handful of great ones out there. And then for the most part, you have people presenting some sort of shortcut to health. And if you've seen any of my content for any amount of time, you probably know that I hate this idea of the shortcut because it's not real. It is not real. Any shortcut is going to cause a loss in something else, right? Never mind money, right? You're going to spend money on the shortcut. But then let's say that you wanted to lose weight, for example. There's a lot of different ways to go about losing weight. What people think is that if I want to lose 50 pounds, being at the place of having lost 50 pounds is the value. The reality of this is that the way you get to the result of losing 50 pounds is as important, if not more important, than the actual result. Because being at a healthy weight is a great thing. But I made a video a while ago and I said, well, if you cut off your leg and that's how you lose 20, 30 pounds, well, now you can't walk. That's ridiculous. Right? So the way you get to something is very important. If you want to make a bunch of money, well, you could start a really impactful business that has amazing products and services, or you could just rob a bank. The difference between the two is very obvious. So the way you get there is extremely important. The fact that the shortcut is advertised in nearly every company, every product is a shortcut to something, that frustrates the absolute crap out of me. One of the brands I work with, Vivo, they make barefoot shoes. Their product is cool because it's not trying to take away anything from the individual. It's saying, oh, your feet are actually really a powerful thing. Here's a product that enhances that, right? It supports that, but it doesn't change that. Rather than, the 3-inch trampoline shoes that make you run 20 seconds faster per mile, and then you just have a marathon time that kind of boosts your ego. And I'm not saying that every single product is bad, but I almost want to say every single product is made with the intent to make money, not to make the person better, right? And maybe this is just the human condition, right? Everybody needs to support themselves. Everybody wants to survive, even though survive is kind of a silly term to use today, but everybody wants to survive. And so you see a hole in the market and say, oh, well, maybe I could create a product and make a bunch of money off of it and make people think that they have a problem. So it's very difficult to discern, oh, is there an actual problem, or did the company that sells the solution create the problem? You see what I'm saying? If you don't have an issue, you don't actually need to fix the issue. But then a lot of companies will say, oh, well, you're lacking in this. You're not feeling well because of this, right? And they're almost placing that on you rather than saying, do you actually have this problem? And I'm trying to be careful here because, in the content that I put out, sometimes I'm assuming, oh, if you're down on yourself, oh, if you're not fulfilled, right? But at the same time, I'm speaking as one individual to maybe a hypothetical person in my mind, and maybe 20,000 or 50,000 or a million different people see it. So it's definitely kind of hard to present that with perfect accuracy because who knows who the heck is going to see it. But often with a business, right, you have a pretty specific target market. So that is definitely kind of a conflict that I have in observing these kinds of things. So in the realest sense, you know how to be healthy. You know how to be healthy. It is not that difficult. And if you don't know how to be healthy, go on YouTube. 10 minutes from now, you're going to know how to be healthy, right? You just have to get enough sleep. You have to eat real food. You have to exercise every day, and you should probably spend some time thinking about your ideas. Really, that is how you become a healthy person, right? There's got to be the mental side. There's got to be the physical side. There's got to be great relationships, right? That's definitely a huge part of it. But it's not that hard. You know these things. You've heard these things for forever. And again, if you haven't, look it up. YouTube, ChatGPT, you can get the information. What we're not dealing with is a lack of information. What we're dealing with is the emotional struggle of making changes, right? So I was on a podcast a few days back this week, and the host, Steve, if you're seeing this, Steve, you're the man, he spoke about this concept called the inner citadel. I'm going to bring up his text message that he sent me because I asked him to re-explain it to me for the sake of this podcast because it was a really interesting idea. So he said, the inner citadel, I describe it as the psychological walled-off kingdom of security that people retreat to as opposed to facing hard truths. When people can't get what they want, they teach themselves not to want it, right? So in this weight loss example I brought up, can't lose fat becomes fat loss is racist, or health can be present at any size, right? So it's changing the desire instead of changing the outcome through hard work. So he said, a post I wrote, when people can't get what they want, they teach themselves not to want it. Lifelong weight struggles, weight loss is racist. Never built wealth, money is evil. Bad experiences with the opposite sex, all men/women are the same. Can't find a life partner. I never wanted kids anyways. It's a psychological retreat into a walled-off kingdom of safety, comforting, but self-imposed exile. A strange kind of virtuous victimhood, the inner citadel, right? So I find this very, very interesting, very, very accurate, because of course this is what people do. If you want something that requires an immense amount of work, who the hell wants to put that amount of work in? And the amount of time, by the way, because we've been taught to get what we want right now, right? The instant gratification. And if you can't get that, what can you change right now? Can you change your outcome or can you change your perspective? Well, just add a couple drops of delusion and you've got a changed perspective. Oh, being super fat is actually totally healthy, right? Oh, I can't build wealth, like you said in that example. Money's evil, right? And you just change the perspective because that's what's available. The only problem is that you're going to end up pissed off, existentially pissed off if you just convince yourself that the outcome that you genuinely do want is not actually what you want. Because you can change the words you say, or you can try to change your perspective, but I seem to think that deep down, you can't really take away that view of reality, even if that view is very, very tiny. I think there is still something in there if you're relatively mentally intact, but I'll assume that for most of us in this podcast conversation, or monologue rather. So another thing, and if you see me looking over to the side, I just have a few notes written down because it's kind of hard to organize all of my ideas just on the fly, by the way. But really what a company wants, and I brought this up a second ago, is to make money, right? To a company, the target customer is somebody who doesn't think, right? It's the passive mind. And it's kind of unfortunate, right? Because anything that I, quote unquote, sell, right? I would want someone to buy that with fully intact observation of what it is that I'm selling to them. To trick someone actually feels like shit. And I have almost 1 million followers cumulatively on different platforms. You think I couldn't trick people? Of course. And that's some people's whole business plan. Oh, let me build a huge following just so I can trick people and lie to them and sell them some idea of something. Whereas the only thing that I would want to sell is, hey, I could probably help you achieve some of the things that I'm very good at through my own experience. You know what I mean? It's not some, oh, I have a degree in life coaching. People ask my credibility. I go, look at what I do. Set up the security camera in my room for the next 365 days, and you're going to see what consistency looks like. You're going to see what discipline looks like. You're going to see what my life looks like. And if you want something from that, beautiful. Another huge emphasis of mine is if you don't want that, don't listen to me. You know what I mean? If you happen to be one of the folks listening to this podcast and maybe you don't like what I'm saying, I would genuinely suggest that you don't emotionally take on what I'm saying as any sort of gospel. Because just like I can make decisions based on what I see in the world around me, you can absolutely do the same. And I would not want to take that away from anybody. And I tell this to people that I work with specifically. I say, you don't need me, right? I don't want the voice of reason to sound like my voice. I want it to sound like your own. But anyway, I digress for a living. But again, going back to this idea of the target customer for a company, it's the people who hate hard work, right? It's the people that face the inner citadel. They go, oh, this is the person I want. Somebody who's going to mindlessly take on my made-up solution, and they're going to spend all their money. There goes my goal fulfilled, getting more money. So a bit disappointing that is kind of the scope of most businesses out there. And that's why when I see a company that does not operate that way, somebody who makes an impact and makes money from empowering people, right? If you went to the doctor and that doctor told you, you don't need the medication that I'm going to sell to you. You don't need the surgery for X, Y, and Z. You don't need all this bullshit. You can actually do things. Because when it comes down to it, Dr. Me, I was just a kid in college learning all these freaking terms and vocabulary words and processes to help people get better through the system that exists and trying to pass my tests. And then I've just been doing this as a job. Doctor, a human, a person, just like you, a human, a person. You have the capability to research things, look things up, take your life into your own hands. I just wish everybody knew that. Because we grow up seeing these authority figures and then we just, our attention is just dedicated to them. And it doesn't need to be that way. We are all capable of being smart. I can't possibly imagine looking someone in the face and saying, you're gonna need to trust somebody else on this one. And I'm not saying this to just dog on doctors. Right? People study things for a reason. You can kind of count on them for knowing that information. If you don't, nothing wrong with that. But all we do societally is just say, I need someone else to take me out of this. I don't feel good about myself. I need someone else to save me from that feeling. I don't feel good physically. I need somebody to take care of that for me. Right? I'm not financially stable. I need somebody else to save me. Right? And you would think that being that victim and then looking to the hero, the hero is the empowering figure. No, if anyone's going to look at you and tell you can't take control of your own life, that's what I would call a piece of shit, to put it scientifically. So, look, I want you to leave listening to this podcast. Oh, there's a hair in my mouth. That's beautiful. The old mustache makes its way into my mouth sometimes. I want you to leave listening to this podcast with real takeaways. So let's talk about what real biohacking might actually look like. Prioritizing what matters. That's what real biohacking is. So if you would consistently sacrifice sleep to work and make money more, I don't need any more details than that. You're not prioritizing what matters. You're just not. And in small doses, right? Sometimes I lose sleep over something, right? Maybe I'm working for an hour more. Maybe I'm having a great conversation for an hour more. I don't know if that's a misaligned sacrifice. That's pretty aligned. But if you are sacrificing sleep for work, you're not prioritizing what matters. And let's say 1 or 2 days out of the month, you go absolutely crazy and you're working for 4 hours into the night, and then the next day you wake up and you're dead tired. It's not a big deal. You know what I mean? It's not the end of the world. But if that's the constant, right? If you don't even see the sleep as the priority and you see, oh, I have to appease my boss, that's the priority, major problem. That needs to absolutely change, because that's going to be the real biohack. And the problem is fulfilling the responsibility of work, for example. There's instant realization of why that matters, right? Oh, if I don't get this project done, I'm going to get fired and then I won't be able to make money. The sleep one is interesting because it goes pretty deep. Oh, if I don't get sleep, I'm going to be tired. And that's kind of where people leave it. Oh, I'm just going to be tired. No, you're going to be tired, and then the tiredness is going to flow into the next day's work and conversations and relationship and health routines. Okay, maybe it's just 0.001 worse. 0.001% worse than the day before. No big deal, right? Well, that's going to not allow you to get the stuff you need to get done quickly enough. So maybe it reaches into the next day's sleep, and then it's another 0.0001% worse. You're never going to see a massive difference other than, oh, I'm kind of tired, I'm dragging along. Well, do that for 4 weeks, then do that for a year, all because you're sacrificing this 0.0001 for work. Hugely misaligned, because that's going to have huge impact negatively on your life, right? Your mental health, your physical health, relationships, all those things. But it's very hard to see that 0.0001 is actually making a difference, right? So you have to have a pretty strong view of what actually matters if you're going to be a real biohacker. So a few simple things that I've jotted down here. Move your body daily. If you're not exercising in some capacity every single day, there's a problem. This could be going on walks. This could be running marathons. This could be lifting weights. This could be Pilates. This could be yoga. This could be playing a sport. Just move your body. I'm not going to sit here and say that one form of exercise is better than the other form of exercise. My buddy Michael Smoke, you're probably more familiar with his podcast than mine, but it's either his quote or he took the quote from someone else and uses it, but I think it's a great one. He says the best exercise routine is the one that you're going to carry out consistently. So I think there's a lot of truth to that. But move your body daily. Very simple. Some days you might do a crazy amount. Some days, again, it's the 10-minute walk or a little jog for a mile, whatever it is. Just move your body daily. Your whole life will thank you. Next, take the guesswork out of your nutrition. Oh my God. This world of a million different foods every single day, a million different supplements if you're into that sort of thing. Take a deep freaking breath and take the guesswork out of all of that, because let's say on a daily basis, you eat 10 different foods, right? Maybe 3 meals and then a handful of different snacks. And let's say you got a protein bar and the protein shake, and then you got this meal with some sauce on it or whatever it might be, just 10 different things. let's say on average, each one of those 10 things has 10 different ingredients. I think that's being quite gracious, by the way, because you go to the grocery store, you'll see some bullshit with 400 ingredients and it's a damn science project. That's 100 different things going into your body, most of which you might not actually understand what it is. 100 different things that you have to wonder, what is this doing? Because let's say you feel sluggish, or let's say you get headaches. Let's say you have something that's actually bothering you regarding your physical health, and now you need to look at your nutrition and go, well, there's 100 things that I have to guess. Oh, what could be causing this? Maybe is it an ingredient in the freaking ranch dressing I'm throwing out? I don't know what it is, right? I'm just coming up with an example here, but this is the problem with eating this massive variety of stuff that you probably don't know. Now, look, if you're baking all kinds of different stuff and you see every single thing going into that product and you're making your own foods and you're growing vegetables and whatnot, I mean, that sounds like a pretty sweet life. But if you're doing that, I mean, you actually know what you're putting in your body. The problem with these store-bought pieces of shit, you actually don't know what's going in your body. And I'm not going to overdo the whole, seed oils and this and that and foods you can't pronounce. I mean, there's such a big debate over that. I don't know what every little ingredient of the food you're eating is actually doing to your body, right? I cannot say, this molecule is reacting to your body in this kind of way. But I do know that being a mindless consumer is ridiculous. Not smart to just put something in your body that you're completely unfamiliar with. So take the guesswork out of it. Maybe eat 10 different things each day, but they're 10 single ingredient foods. So when you get the stomach ache or the headache or the, sluggish energy, you can go, let me try to take out this and see what changes. I ate carrots a handful of times over the past few weeks, and I'm just going around ripping crazy ass. And I'm just going, it's probably the carrots. And then I stopped eating carrots and I stopped farting 18 times a day. So, it's pretty simple when you don't have that much to work with. Now, am I saying you have to be a super boring ass, meals every single day kind of person like myself? No. And if you say beef and rice is boring, you got a damn problem, because that's the best meal in the world. Aside from steak, maybe, but the best daily meal. You know what I mean? But take the guesswork out. It'll serve you very, very well. Now, here's a big one. Healthy relationships and community. This has just been a freaking explosion of value for me over the past year, right? Moved from North Carolina to Austin, Texas. I'm not going to be a Texas salesperson, but it's just what worked for me, right? It's the fit for me. There's a lot of healthy people. There's a lot of people on the same page with the diet stuff, the exercise stuff, the lifestyle, the waking up early, the running. There are people on the same page, and that is a freaking confidence boost, first of all, but it's what you need. Humans are not meant to be alone, right? And you're going to have the people with the inner citadel that cannot find the community they're looking for, and then they convince themselves, I don't need anybody. I'm just going to be by myself. And you can see where that goes once again. So healthy relationships and community, learning how to communicate, learning how to present who you are to other people and build relationships based on that. Oh my God, what a freaking biohack. And the last thing, this is my campaign right now, because I think it's so powerful and it's so simple. The no phone dinner. If you are listening to this podcast and you're hearing my voice, for the next week, please, I am begging you, every single dinner that you have, put your phone away. If you're by yourself, put your phone away. If you're with all your friends, put your phone away for the entirety of the meal. Think, communicate, let your mind run, look at the freaking window next to you and see what's going on outside, listen to the white noise that's going on in the kitchen. I am begging you to do the no phone dinner. That would make me so happy. Post about it on your freaking Instagram story, tag me in it, hashtag no phone dinner. I don't know. Just please do it, because you're going to be there in the present moment with nothing but your own mind, your own thoughts, your experiences, what happened that day. This is where great ideas come from, is you actually sitting with them. Don't distract yourself all the time. And I'm not going to be being on your phone at any point is evil. And I'm on my phone plenty throughout the day. I do social media, right? And I work with people and I'm messaging them. And I'm not trying to be that. But what I am saying is please just take 15, 20, 30 minutes a day to be with nothing but your own thoughts, your own self. Learn how to exist in the present moment. If you're sitting there during that no phone dinner and you're a little bit wired because you don't have that thing to distract you, your work is so cut out for you. It's beautiful. Feel the nervousness, feel that anxiety that comes from it and go, what the hell is wrong with me? I can't sit here? That's absurd, right? And I'm not saying to hate on yourself, right? We all have things that are an obstacle, right? But if it's your own self, that is something to work on. That is a beautiful abundance of progress in front of you. So please do the no phone dinner. That is my big push to end off the podcast. So with that said, if you listened to any of my chat and rant and whatever else today, I really do appreciate the heck out of you. It means a ton. I am so excited about this podcast. Every time leading up to pressing the record button, I get a little bit nervous. And then by the middle, I go, man, this is really fun. And then by the end, I'm just stoked to have gotten my ideas out there, hopefully brought some value to you, and just expressed what I thought. So if you want to hear more of the podcast, if you're on YouTube, you can click subscribe, you can leave a like, you can comment. On Spotify, maybe there's comments on Spotify too. You can leave the 5 stars. If you want to follow me on any other platforms, it's Crew Mahoney on all of them, CRUMAHONEY. Would love to connect with you on there. I think that's all I've got today. Thank you so much for listening to the Crew Mahoney podcast. I will see you next week. Have an incredible day. Hell yeah, dude.